Hello friends, how are you all? Hope you are doing great at various aspects of your lives. Welcome to another book review podcast by ThinkerViews. Today we are going to talk about a book that is rooted into the Indian literature, specifically ancient Indian literature. Indra, the king of gods. Just a mention of him brings a lot of different emotions altogether. Those who have proper knowledge of ancient Indian, that is Bharatiya literature, knows that Indra is a boss. Whoever is throned as the king of Devas, known as Indra. The current Indra is Purandar. Sanskrit hymns like the following used in regular rituals are quite clear about that. Swasti na Indro Vridashravah, Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah, Swasti nastaraksho Aristanemi, Swasti no Brihaspatirdadatu, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Its meaning in very rough translation is something like, May Indra of Vedas of great wisdom and glory grant us well-being by bestowing wisdom. May Pushan, the sun god, the nourisher of great knowledge, grant us well-being by nourishing us and granting knowledge. May Targasya, a mythical bird of great protective power, a thunderbolt to misfortunes, grant us well-being by protecting us from misfortunes, and may Brihaspati, the Guru of the Devas, grant us well-being. And it continues. Indra, Agni and Varun or Varuna are amongst important gods and are found mentioned at length in the Vedas. Indra Shrestani Dravinani Dehi Chitim Dakshasya Subhagatpasme Posham Rayinam Tanunam Svadamanam Vacham Sudinatvam Mahvam. While most of the readers know about Indra through his unthoughtful acts and consider him as an insecure king, always worried about his throne, as soon as he catches a wind of someone's good deeds and popularity is rising to an alarming level for him, he starts his devious act to turn the person down. This way, he keeps nullifying his possible challengers. All the posts, even the throne of King of Devas, has that effect on the beholder. The person sitting on it knew and that as he or she dethroned someone else, someday he or she is also going to have the same fate, and there is nothing shocking in that. It is the rule of karma that everyone has to follow. So does Indra only an insecure ruler who enjoys the pleasure of Swarg, the heaven, and does nothing else? Doesn't he possess any other worthy qualities at all? Well, obviously he has to have another side proving him worthy of the throne. Recently, we got a chance to read Indra, a book by Ashutosh Garg. We explored it with a hope to have chronological account of the incidents from our ancient literature in aspects of Indra, of course. Here I present my views and reviews for this book on behalf of Team ThinkerViews. As always, the review is unbiased and uninfluenced by all means. Being a gateway to the virtual world explored within, the book cover plays a vital role in making the first impression of the book, and thus it is often responsible for many purchase and or book pickup decisions. As you can see, the cover page of Indra is not very attractive. While it is thoughtful to have a dark background and an illustration of thunder, it doesn't seem to be able to catch your attention in a compendium of books. It could have been better.
Our regular readers know that usually we talk about the storyline and our views and reviews for any book in two distinct segments. This book, however, is a collection of stories referring Indra in a random manner. We are merging both the segments here to avoid as many spoilers as possible. First thing first, don't expect this book to be a biographical tale of Purandar's life. The author himself makes it clear at the very beginning. The author says, moreover, I do not wish to give a biographical account of Purandar's life. The incidents mentioned are not in a chronological manner. As per my opinion, that must have been maintained. Also, the last chapter that worked as a conclusion, as the author adds last notes there, explores the incidents happened quite earlier in Purandar's regime as Indra. A major part of the book explores the incidents happened later in the timeline after the one referred in the last chapter. One of the good things about this book is it introduces Purandar, his nature, his family, and his importance quite well. The book says, although Purandar usually rides on his gigantic white elephant, Airavat, he enjoys the privilege, or at least that is what he thinks, of taking anyone for a ride. Purandar also has a white horse named Ujjaishrava, and Matali is the name of his charioteer. His consort, Sachi, by virtue of being Indra's wife, is better known as Indrani. They have a son, Jayant, and two daughters, Jayanti and Devasena. Almost 250 hymns are dedicated to Indra in the Rig Veda. The first chapter starts with logically obvious incident, the coronation of Purandar as Indra. You come to know about his characteristics in unbiased manner in this book. The author doesn't waste much time in explanations. His exploration of incidents is sufficient to see various sides of Purandar's persona. For example, Pranam. Purandar bowed his head before his mother. At the same time, he got advice from an elderly respected figure on the very same page. Such sharp impedance will do you more harm than good. And author also says, Purandar was not arrogant by nature. It was the seed of Indra, which cast its spell on incumbents. Haven't we witnessed such effects on many popular people's persona, including political figures, celebrities, and others? The author says bluntly, at more than one places in the book, in a slightly different manner, absolute power had corrupted him absolutely. So, if you read books with an intent to learn something important, this book has many practical advices to follow. Here are some more important life lessons from the book. Any service, howsoever tiny and insignificant it may appear, rendered with love, devotion, and sincerity, has the same value as any other work of gigantic proportions done with love and devotion. Thus, I have concluded that desires are endless, and the more one tries to gratify them, the more they are inflamed. Lust drives a man crazy and makes him commit the most unacceptable follies. Just like a house becomes home only when people live in it, so is the case with the court of a king. A court becomes influential and impressive not by illusions and ostentations, but by the kind of people who sit there and preside over it. Kashyap in a compassionate tone. But one has to deal with personal laws. And they appear through various characters and lessons they have learned, or their stories conveyed, be it Purandar, Ahalya, Yayati, Nahush, or someone else. The good thing about ancient Indian literature is it conveys information in entertaining manner that makes the reader yield to them. Of course, when retelling happens, it is the job of the storyteller to keep it quite entertaining and keep this quotient intact. In this book, the author introduces various characters, elements, and other stuff in interesting manner. Here are some such simple yet interesting lines. Sage Atharvan, considered the conceiver of the mantras of the Atharva Veda, had a brilliant son named Dadichi. Madhuvidya could help one attain immortality. A famous sage named Twasta had a daughter called Prabha. She had two sons born from Vivaswan. These two children, named Ashwini Kumaras, grew up as twin horsemen mentioned in the Rig Veda, for they had human figures with the heads of horses. When you have a good command over the language and your thoughts are clear, you don't need too many fancy words to convey your thoughts. Quoting from the book, discretion is the better part of valor. Good conduct was the basis of everything in a man's life. Most of the people consider a king as a lucky person who enjoys all the material happiness without doing much work. On the contrary, there is the Rajadharma that binds the king to follow very tight rules and serve the people. The throne has invisible thorns also. Of course, it applies to the one who follows the Dharma. Here are some interesting lines from the book that explores the essence of Rajadharma quite effectively. He said, "The guilt of being a childless king has been gnawing at me day and night. Despite all possible efforts, I have not been able to do anything about it. I have failed you as a husband. More than that, I have failed my kingdom, my people, and my race for not having given a successor, which was their right." Yuvanashva protested at Brigu's feet. Here was a king who had everything but had renounced it because he failed to give his kingdom an heir. In front of him was a sage who had nothing of his own, yet he could give to the king all that he wished for. I found some modern words or proverbs or sayings, etc. in this book. While they effectively adds contemporariness to the writing, it also feels like out of context in terms of timeline. As the story represents ancient times, some readers may not digest it well. Quoting from the book, having robbed Prahlad of all his virtues, Purandar was on cloud 9. As they say, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Of course, we can give the author a benefit here, as Indra is the god of rain and thunder. Cloud 9 can fit in that context. Same way, he loved drinking soma. So, old wine, the new bottle. Etymology also partially in context. Emotions and intelligence often go hand in hand. Sometimes cunningness also accompanies them. From many ancient Indian tales, we learned that the Daityas often go beyond boundaries in doing sacrifices and penance in order to get the boon they want. More often than not, it is immortality. As the gods are bound to offer boons when they are prayed with intensity, they often need to find a way to deceive the recipients to not to let him or her be the absolute master of the destiny. Without the fear of death, one can do some bad and good too that can prove to be fatal for the universe. In this interesting example taken from the book, Narakasur uses his intelligence in getting immortality as a boon indirectly. If I have to die, let it happen at the hands of my mother. Narakasur was extremely happy. It was the equal of attaining immortality, as no mother would ever kill her own child. The author is good at exploring attributes of a character using both direct and indirect methods. Here are some character-defining lines about Purandar. Purandar, one should be magnanimous enough to accept one's fault. Krishna could not believe his ears. What an ungrateful wretch Purandar is. Krishna thought to himself, it was now more a question of prestige for the Lord than of right or wrong. But it was not in Purandar's nature to let things happen smoothly. He liked playing tricks, even with his son. And the author is not exploring only vulnerable side of Purandar. He also has infused lines like the following at many places. Everybody started at an rate in the standing with the deadly Vajra in his right hand. He was the king of the Devas, but he seemed like the god of death, Yamaraj. The book could have been proofread better. I found some sentences that could have been rectified or constructed better. For example, look, I am an Daitya, owing to the few drops of Amrita that I had consumed. Lord Shiva's flame can do you no harm. Nothing, you need do nothing. The quotes mentioned so far must have given you a fair idea about the book content and its quality. Of course, we cannot talk about all the stories as mentioned earlier. I like the book for being a collection of stories about Purandar, the current Indra. I guess some of them would be new to read for the readers, especially those who are much about reading literature set up in the modern times or from different continents. The narration style of the book, despite some chronological flaws, which I don't think a regular reader will mind much, is simple and the author seems to have tried consciously to make it an easy read. The good thing is, the stories are presented in almost original version. Despite being a book on Indra, it doesn't try to make him the protagonist or antagonist. Indra is represented as Indra. And that is a challenge for any author to write without biases. The author, Ashutosh Garg, is in complete control of himself in that sense. In summary, I can say that on the whole, a book well written with some good linguistic attributes. The inclusion of some lesser known stories about Purandar adds to the positive. If the stories are viewed in a proper chronology or timeline, it would have been better. You may like to read it, especially if you love to explore tales rooted in the ancient Indian literature. ThinkerViews rating would be around 7 to 7.5 stars out of 10.
So, have you already read the book? Are you planning to read it? What do you think about this book review? Do you find it helpful in deciding whether to go for the book or not? Please do share your genuine remarks via comments below. If you have enjoyed listening to the review, please hit the like button and do not forget to share it with your friends and other fellows whom you think such reviews interest more. Till we meet with our next podcast, bye bye, take care, namaskar.